Recently, I've noticed in the Mortal Kombat community, especially on YouTube, there's been a big discussion around the outfits in the recent games, especially regarding the women, and I wanted to discuss that in today's video. This is coming from a very neutral perspective, so I don't want to offend anyone. I'm just going to discuss, in my opinion, what outfits would be best for certain characters, whether the outfits they have now are more practical or not. It'll just be a very simple video. I'm going to try not to upset anyone. That's not what I'm aiming to do. I just want to mention this because it's something that I've noticed getting discussed quite a bit. So I wanted to just sort of say my thoughts on it and then just see in the comments if you have certain opinions about this. Let me know. Maybe we can have somewhat of a friendly discussion. So let's talk about it. So there's been an issue in recent Mortal Kombat games, at least to some people. This seems an issue, and it's that there haven't been very revealing costumes in the games for the lady characters. Now, in MK9, and even some games before then as well, like their original appearances, the female designs were quite revealing, almost like swimsuit type outfits, and some people don't mind that. For instance, myself, I don't really care. I think that should they be the default outfit? Maybe not, but the more revealing outfits that they have, I don't mind that much. I mean, it might offend some people, I'm not too sure, but for me, I don't mind that much. The MK9 designs were pretty out there. They were very extreme, I would say, maybe too much. Again, though, I think, for instance, MKX Katana, when they did her tournament outfit, which was based on the MK9 version, that was a pretty good in-between. It was a lot less revealing, but it still had that sort of original feel, kept it intact, but was a bit more reserved in a way, and that was pretty good. I don't think many people had too many issues with that costume, but starting in MKX and all the way up to MK1, it definitely has become more noticeable. They're trying to hide the skin of lady costumes, and I think the reason some people have an issue with this, for one, is that they haven't done the same with the male characters. Male characters show a lot of skin. There's a lot of like female skins that show zero skin at all. Look at MK11 Scarlet, for instance. But then you have men who are completely shirtless. Obviously, you can't have women being shirtless, obviously, but I think there is quite a big difference because I think a lot of people, including NetherRealm, maybe see it as men are allowed to show skin, but women aren't, obviously just for over-sexualizing things. I don't really want to get into like the politics of all of this, but it seems to be like there's different rules for male and female designs. And a lot of people really are against these designs, and a lot of people are really against the idea NetherRealm has more or less come up with, that these designs are really impractical and just sort of dumb, like they shouldn't be in the game. And again, I'm pretty neutral when it comes to this. I have a few thoughts. So there was an interview done, I think around the time MK11 released, where Steve Barron, who works on the game, basically made some comments that they changed the outfits because they wanted them to be a bit more practical. But of course, people then pointed out the fact that, well, I mean, I'm not a woman, so I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that a lady wouldn't go to a fight wearing heels. That doesn't seem like the smartest idea. And basically all the lady characters in MK11, including like Frost for some reason, wear heels when they fight. So are you telling me that that is practical, and wearing less clothes so that, you know, there's less for your opponent to grab onto and stuff is impractical? That makes very little sense to me. Now, does that mean that they have to dress like very skimpily? I don't know if skimpily is a word, probably isn't, but does that mean that? Not necessarily. I think like training outfits, for instance, are fine. Like very simple ones, that works okay. Something like what Sonya and Cassie tend to wear in the games, that's okay, I think. However, this is something a lot of people tend to get quite angry about. It seems to be like you're either on one side that really wants these costumes, you'll mention it online, try to get a bunch of people behind you, or you're against it and you just actively insult the other side and just call them, you know, horny or whatever. I think that there should be a perfect in-between here. And for me, there's two things I want to discuss. First of all, personally, I'm not that concerned. I do think that NetherRealm should lighten up a little bit because it's quite clear most people want these more revealing costumes back. Now, for me, I don't think that they should be MK9 level revealing, but I don't think they should be MK11 style completely covered up like Scarlet, for instance, or Jade. I think it should be an option to have a more revealing costume. For instance, I was thinking the other day of what they could do for MK13 or whatever they call it, MK2. I really hope they don't call it that, where they could have like themed costumes, and maybe one of them could be, you know, beach outfits, and every character on the roster could get one. And that could be like quite a, you know, revealing costume. You could have men in just, you know, shorts, no t-shirt. Women could wear, you know, a bikini type thing. I don't know, like you could have these really revealing outfits, but then everything else in the game, like especially their default, could be rather reserved. Like you could have in between. Like I think you don't need to have every outfit looking like MK11 outfits, but you don't need every outfit looking like MK9 and like the original games as well. I think you can have that perfect blend of covered up, but also appeal to some fans who do want stuff like that. And other fighting games are doing that now, like Street Fighter, I think Tekken as well, have like swimsuit outfits for their characters. I'm not too huge on that. I don't think we need that stuff. I think themed outfits in general, not just revealing like swimsuit ones, but themed outfits in general would be really cool. We saw that a little in MK1 where they gave some characters Christmas outfits and stuff. That could be cool, but not just for holidays, you know, big events or just small like hobbies that characters might have. Like that would be really cool to help sort of split them apart from other characters, give them more personality aside from just, you know, the fighting. So if it was up to me, give the character a design that really fits them, whether it is slightly revealing or not at all, that's fine. And then give them a bunch of costumes, and then maybe one of them can be somewhat revealing, you know, like give players an option that want that, but also you don't need to do anything too crazy to the point of it being just unbelievable. Then I also think that there should be some consideration for who the character actually is. For instance, take a look at a character like Sonya, for instance, any Special Forces character, male or female. They would be more suited up, maybe not armored up, but they wouldn't be showing as much skin because they're meant to be like sensible, defending Earthrealm. Like they don't really want people looking at their body that much because that's not what they're doing. They're there to stop outer world threats. That's really all they're doing. So we don't need to see much skin from Sonya or Cassie or Jackie or, you know, or Johnny or Jax. Like if they're fully covered up, that doesn't really matter. However, I think that for characters in between, we have some characters from Edenia. You know, I think for instance, sorry for stumbling there, Kitana and Jade. These characters, in my opinion, should be in between. Basically think of MKX Tournament Kitana, as I mentioned. They are, right, they're royalty, they're quite interesting characters, right? I feel like they should have, based on their personality, designs that aren't as covered up like Sonya, but aren't as revealing as Melina, who I'll get to in a sec. Their designs should reveal who they are. They should have, obviously, their traditional colors. They should have some gold in there to represent that sort of like royalty type vibe that they give off. But I feel like it sort of matches that sort of vibe if there's some skin showing, because Edenians are known to be quite pretty. So, you know, to show off their face, their, you know, natural features and stuff, fair enough. I think that could look cool in some costumes. Then you have Melina, and of course it depends on which like timeline, which story we're talking about, but Melina, of course, has the Tarkatan mouth. She wants to draw attention away from that because, aside from MK1, her body is literally just Kitana's, right? She's a clone, so she wants to draw people's attention to her body, not her face. That's why she wears the mask and why she tends to wear revealing outfits, and that makes sense. Now, MK1, of course, changed this to where she's actually Kitana's sister and she's older. MK1's its whole, you know, its own thing, but either way, you can see, like, there's quite a lot there, and I think that with Melina, her character, it really makes sense to have revealing outfits. Not to say every outfit has to be revealing, of course, just saying, like, for the default, something like what we got in MK1 with Deception Melina, an outfit like that would be fine for a default for Melina. And the biggest issue, I think, is that when you take a look at MK1, they brought back some designs from the 3D era. And this era was also somewhat revealing in terms of the female costumes, And they brought back some, like Lee Mei and Natara. They made some sort of unnecessary changes that just made them a lot less appealing. Some people have also mentioned how they tend to bring back the MK2 and MK3 outfits, but barely change those, even though those are quite revealing as well. I'm not really going to mention too much of that today, but if we take a look at Lee Mei here, this is her design in MK1, which is based on Deception, and this is the actual Deception look. You can see there's not, like, it has that base value to it, it has that core idea of the design there, but you can tell there's just small little arbitrary little changes made to make it a little less revealing, which to me is a bit of a problem. If you're going to bring back an outfit, bring back one that isn't as revealing. I know Lee Mei hasn't been in that many games, but just make her a new design then instead of altering one. And it might not seem like that big of a deal. Like, I still really like the Deception outfit in MK1, but it would have been better if they had just left it. Leave it the exact same as the material you're taking it from. Don't, make changes that don't really relate to any type of practicality, because having extra straps across her belly button, for instance, isn't going to do that much. So to sum up, because I've rambled a bit longer than I actually thought I would here, I think that revealing outfits should be in the game as an option, whether that's as paid DLC or as just some type of alternate that you can unlock through playing the game. However, I don't think it needs to be the default. But in saying that, I think it should also depend on the character. Mileena should have a somewhat revealing outfit. We don't need to have any character's default just be a full-on bikini, like something from Soul Calibur or something. We don't need that. We don't need that level of skin showing, right? But I think something like Deception Mileena is perfectly fine for a character like her. Then you have something like Tournament Katana. I brought her up a lot in this video. For someone like Katana, Jade, even someone like Scarlet, that could be cool. I'm aware Scarlet isn't a Denian, but still, you get the point. Any female ninja character could have that sort of in-between look. Then I think you have characters who should be more or less covered up, like Special Forces characters. Now, I noticed that I've only really discussed the female characters because that's where most of the controversy's at. I think some people just think it's a bit hypocritical because the men show a lot of skin. I mean, I don't probably think most people just won't really think of it that way. I'm trying to not use certain words because a lot of people will think it's quite different for female and male skins. But still, I think it was interesting to make this video because a lot of people see it as, it's different. A lot of people see it as the same, and they should both be treated the same in terms of the skins that they get and the skin they actually show in these outfits. But either way, let me know your thoughts. I hope my thoughts were not articulated all that well throughout this video. I did mumble a couple times, I am sorry about that, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. Again, I think I am pretty neutral when it comes to this. I think everyone should get what they want in some way, and I think that everyone should really listen to the community, but also stick to the story of the characters. Don't do anything too unnecessary. But that's about it, everyone. Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing for more MK videos. Really appreciate you being here. Hope you all have a great day.